Hi, everybody. Erica here from In the Company of Cards with my good friend Lena from Lena Down Under. Hi, Lena.
Hi, intrepid viewers. Good to see you all.
Yes, good to see you all. Thank you for coming. I noticed that there are a couple of questions, Lena, in the feed already, and so
Okay.
I think it would be good to address them. But I guess I wanted to start out with just reminding us of what's happened and not happened since last week. So, one thing that has not happened is that there has not been still any credible citing of Mitch McConnell. There was
Nada.
nothing. There was a statement, a second statement put out by his team, basically saying the same thing that the first statement said, which is that he had briefly lost consciousness, and then he had a slight case of pneumonia. That he is working hard for the people of Kentucky, but not yet ready to return to the Senate. Now, what has kind of ramped up is pressure on the Kentucky governor, Andy Beshear. People have said, Andy, have you heard anything? And he says, no, he hasn't heard anything at all, either from McConnell nor from McConnell's staff. Of course, the next logical question to him is, well, why don't you go there and find out? You're the governor. They'll let you in. And his response shocked me. His response was, well, it's a long way to go.
Oh, dear.
Talking about.
Yeah, it's shocking. Andy Beshear has to watch himself over this issue.
Yep.
Because it could come back and bite him on the bum. So, a bit down the track, and someone eventually admits that the man has either been brain dead for 6 weeks or whatever. He's certainly not coming back to the office, even if he's alive. So this could look like it could be turned on Beshear that you failed as the governor to act, because Republicans are really good at attack.
That's right.
And that's the obvious place to go. Flip it around, make it his problem. There was no representation for months because he
didn't do anything. Right. I mean, it's a leaf out of the Merrick Garland playbook. I was very interested to see Hunter Biden in an interview. I kind of think I like him a little bit.
Yeah.
He said that one of his father's greatest mistakes was Merrick Garland, that he did not replace Merrick Garland.
Yeah.
And he's correct. So Andy Beshear, audience, was well in the running as one of the people that Kamala Harris was looking at as a potential running mate. And so his star was on the ascendancy, and to not act at this critical point. We've said this before, right? That history turns often on the acts of a single person.
Yes.
The act or the inaction of a single person.
This is the time to grab that seat, expose the lies, expose the dragging of the chain. Do it.
Right.
Why are they so tentative?
I don't know. Meanwhile, staying with Kentucky for a moment, I mean, I don't know. Did you see the funeral on TV? Did they even bury him? Did they have a funeral? I mean, it's like, okay, he's dead. Next. But who is next? His baby sister. Now, we know that she had been invited to take his seat until the election. She's now, apparently, her head has been turned. She has zero political experience. She works with getting blind people jobs, which is a noble occupation, but it's hardly qualifying as the senator of South Carolina. She has decided she will throw her hat in the ring as a candidate. So she will now be the candidate.
What gets me from outside, I know every state would have different rules around this, but this is what monarchies do.
Yes.
they have an order of ascendancy. I can't believe. I actually thought I was listening to satire
Right.
when I heard the original announcement that she was going to fill his seat. I
Yeah.
could not believe a working democracy would have such a rule. It's
awful.
Apparently, the Dems have used it too under unfortunate circumstances where a wife or a husband has stepped in. What?
Well, I guess we're confused about whether we should have overthrown George or not.
I know. I think, the states have spent 200 years now trying to get back to being a monarchy.
Right. And I mean, I get the sympathy vote. I get it's very, I don't know. We know why they want her there is because they will just tell her your brother would have voted this way on this and this way on that. Yeah. But to encourage her, because this is not, you can't tell me she thought this up on her own, to have encouraged her to throw her hat in to the actual race.
And threw out her married name on a whim. I have a problem with women and married names. That's another conversation. And now she's just Darlene Graham, Lindsay's sister.
Yeah. So that's okay. Now we're going to leave Kentucky, let it rest in peace in the same way that Mitch probably is doing. But anyway, so we'll get to so wait, no, I did see it. There were a couple of questions. Yes, Aaron, my friend Aaron, who never makes fun of my self haircuts. Yes. So Aaron, this is something that we did want to talk about. This is what Aaron says. I'm so shocked and disappointed that 6 Democrats voted for the defense bill. How could we merge with a foreign government? Am I misunderstanding this? Okay. What Aaron is talking about is we know that there have been hearings during the front part of this week about the defense budget, which is just the billions of dollars. This is what Hegseth asked for. He's already spent 30-something billion. Now he wants some ungodly, like some crazy amount. But there are other things attached to that defense bill. One of them is a version of the SAVE Act, which of course we know the felon wants badly because he wants to disenfranchise voters. And another thing there's another thing attached to it. What is this? This sort of very chummy military relationship between us and a foreign power, which would be, drumroll please, Israel. We have never been hand in glove like that with another country and their military.
No, and it would be different, even ironically, if it was Mexico or Canada because of the geography.
Absolutely,
you could make a case about that. But the geography does not make sense. Therefore, it's purely political. Therefore, America would be signing up for eternal risk of being seen as
a vassal state,
uncritical ally,
as a vassal state of Israel,
a vassal state.
Vassal state. I mean, that's that. There's no other way to put it.
Let's not dress it up. Yeah.
And now, is it disappointing? Yes, Aaron, it's more than disappointing that this thing passed the House. But of course, as you say, what's even more disappointing is that 6 Democrats voted for it. By the way, there were Republicans who crossed the line and didn't vote for it because the split was 216 to 212. If everybody had stayed in their corners,
in their lane,
right. But I mean, that's great that some Republicans crossed over because it's a ridiculous thing. But the fact that these Democrats, so I just, you did not read it wrong. You're not misunderstanding it.
No.
It is just the felon running roughshod over everything, everywhere. That's what that is.
And because Congress has been brain dead, speaking of Mitch McConnell, Congress has been brain dead for so long, they've forgotten their own powers and duties. And and
Right.
things. They haven't functioned as a real Congress, as
No,
an independent arm of government for such a long time. They don't know how to do it.
they haven't forgotten. They took their powers, wrapped them up in
And
a
gave
package
it
with a
to
bow,
them.
and they gave it to
You
them as a
have it.
gift. Yeah, you have it. Exactly. So, I don't know. So, I mean, okay, the mitigating news, of course, is this is only the House, and there is strong opposition to this bill, this defense bill, in the Senate. So it could very well die in the Senate.
Yeah. And I don't think SAVE is going to be.
No, now SAVE is worth talking about for a minute. So I have a viewer, Eleanor Wittering. I did see your question in all of the many places where you put it. You're concerned about the SAVE Act and you want to know what can we do, et cetera. So a word on the SAVE Act. First of all, you should know that in many states, there already is a version of the SAVE Act, meaning that you have to show ID to vote. So in many states, it's already there. Now, what this version is that the one that's sort of been tucked into this bill, it's that if states do not sign on, they don't get certain federal monies. But the monies that we're talking about, it's in the millions, not the billions. And many of the states that would not sign on, like my state of California, we have a great economy here, one of the largest in the world, not just in the country. And so keep your little millions. We're not doing the SAVE Act. And there are other states also in our position that will not agree to it. But again, point being, will this bill pass the Senate? I'm not so sure. I think the senators are starting to get a little annoyed with the fellow, and I think that's a good thing.
Well, he's now got a fresh ally in Darlene. Don't.
I don't know. Speaking of war, I heard this out of the mouth of the felon. We just lost 3 more service people, and he was on his way to one of those services where they bring back the remains and all of that. And he was asked, what did he think about this? And he actually said that these service people, this young girl and these 2 male soldiers who died, that they all said out of their mouths that they were against Iran having a nuclear weapon. What are you talking about? They didn't say that. Where's your proof that they said it? Is it on film? Is it on recording? How did you get that? He lied, which is what he does.
Yes.
It is just the height of disrespect. We've lost now, I think, 18 service people to date who died, not to mention the countless ones who have
400 plus
injured, right? And he's going to ride this till the wheels fall off.
Well, he'll ride it to a certain point. My dread from the beginning, and let it be on the record, if there's any American hostages taken,
right,
that is my personal fear, because that will escalate with this unthought out chaos and madness and violence, and we'll be back like we were with the Iran hostage crisis in 1979,
Oh, I remember that very well. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully the Senate will squish it. We don't know yet. We don't know. Now, in more positive news, so we have had Todd Blanch in the hot seat for much of the week. He is in the middle of his confirmation hearings, or was, and we have had Epstein victims testify, including one who testified today. And we have 2 Republican senators who to date are, I hold out hope in them, not because they're good and great men. They are men who have, I would hope, an axe to grind with the felon, because the felon supported candidates, not them, and they lost their elections. So they are only in office until, the new ones come in January. This is Tom Tillis of North Carolina and John Cornyn of Texas. They each have different issues. Tom Tillis had said that he wanted the Blanch to meet with the victims, and Blanch hemmed and hawed, but then the next day he did meet with them. By all accounts of the victims, the meeting was as you would expect. He was condescending, he was rude, he was not forthcoming, he was stonewalling. It was not, So my hope is that Tillis said, "Oh, Todd, you misunderstood. I didn't mean just be in the room and suck up air. I meant you needed to have a meeting with them where they felt like they were heard and responded to. And you didn't do that, and therefore you don't have my vote." What I heard two things. One, right after the meeting, Tillis was like, "Oh, I'm really glad that he met with them." And I thought, oh. But since then, he has said, I don't know. I'm not so sure about this. Now, the other one is John Cornyn. His issue is different. He is concerned because Blanch has not said, he has said that the slush fund is dead, but he has refused to put that in writing. To this date, he has not done that. Cornyn, I think that's the hill Cornyn is willing to die on, because both Tillis and Cornyn have said, this position, Attorney General, you are the people's lawyer. You're not the president's lawyer.
I know. And there was no response to that.
No.
It was like Todd Blanch was going, "What language are you speaking?"
Yeah.
He was so divorced from that statement. I saw that clip.
Yeah.
And it said it all.
Yeah, it says it all. So we just have to hope that Tillis and Cornyn have the courage of their convictions, and also that they sharpen their vendetta that they must have against him.
Okay, but here's the ongoing problem, which is unqualified, unsuitable, already demonstrably corrupt people get these positions. Then, for whatever reason, they leave. It's like Kristi Noem finally going, and then Tom Homan. And it's like that. Who would Trump put up after Todd Blanch if he didn't get up? So you've got to take this into consideration.
Right, here's the thing. I know I've heard that argument, but here's the thing.
However, I was going to do part two.
Oh, good. What's part two?
Right. That should not stop anyone from condemning someone who has earned that condemnation in their own right.
Right. No, absolutely. 100%. That should not be the reason. What do they say? Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Well, you could flip that and don't say, don't let the evil be the enemy of the horrible. You know what I mean? So, but I will say this. I guess there's a time frame. I don't know if it's 100 days, whatever the number of days is, that someone can serve in the acting capacity. So I don't know how long that is, but he hasn't been there that long, only just since, Blondie got the boot. And then, God willing, and the creek don't rise, please God. We have the elections coming up in November. We would have to have confirmation hearings all over again. And maybe we just, don't confirm whoever it is and how much. They can only do so much damage with a different Congress.
Yeah, I think that's true. It's sort of, given the basics were overlooked, he's the president's personal attorney thing, and he thinks he's still doing that job, and that's what he's auditioning for. Apart from all that, yeah, to a certain extent, they've reached, maybe they haven't reached critical horror, that might be too ambitious, but
Not yet.
their behaviour has been illustrated enough that it almost doesn't matter what face is attached
That's
to
right.
that bad
That's
behaviour.
right.
I
That's
think
right.
that's where we're at. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Did you hear Hegseth say this? He said that, well, you know, the president wouldn't want to stand next to a black officer, you know, at like a ceremony, black female officer at like a ceremony or anything. So that's why he's got to get rid of all the black people and all the women, because it's not a good look.
And the
Right.
whole testosterone nonsense
Ah.
that went with that.
Well, isn't
But
that
back to
isn't
just
that wait, don't they call that don't they call that some gender affirming care?
gender affirming care? Yes, it is doing the rounds. I know. But once they find out that it shrinks the testicles, I don't think they'll be queuing up. But back to your point, he not wanting to be seen with black serving officers, certainly not a female serving officer. This is part of the erasure of black history. And I'd like to just sort of take a moment here in the sense this is how the colonial powers have always worked, because you can't be seen to make another human a slave or another human a lesser thing. Therefore, your job is to dehumanize that group. Right? That's fundamental to how it all works. And he's been systematically taking all the images down everywhere. But this is true of what Britain did to India and China. They just wiped their entire thousands of years of history and regarded them as burbling peasants. And as Leo Kalin says, who's a wonderful young gay Indian, not YouTube, Instagram. He's done wonderful 1-minute series on this thing of colonization. And his most recent statement I love, which is, you can't earn $1 billion. You have to extract it.
Exactly.
Right. And then he goes on in 1 minute to list all the resources that went from India back to the UK, making the UK phenomenally rich, not the majority of the people, but those in power.
Right.
And we're witnessing it all again in such a blatant way that it actually takes your breath away. You know, it's so outrageous.
Well,
that he can say and do these things.
It's an old, familiar playbook, just like you
said.
Of course. Speaking of other cultures being called savage and all that, I remember when Nixon went to China for the first time. And so there was a lot of video, and you got to give him credit for opening up that relationship, I have to say. Yeah. But one of the things I remember seeing was someone doing, a surgeon, team of doctors doing brain surgery on this woman. They had her head open and they're digging in there with their whatever. And she was eating an orange at the same time. And the only anesthesia she had was acupuncture. So, you know, these cultures know what they're talking about. They wouldn't have survived if they didn't. You know what I'm saying? And yet you're right. The victors write the history. And so they get to say, well, they're a bunch of savages who don't know anything about anything.
And it's the same with the drug wars, the opium wars, you know, where the UK rendered millions of people opium addicts in China and stuff. And then, you know, in the modern world, whinging on about cartels and evil drug cartels and stuff. Who's buying the product?
Right.
Don Jr. would be in the front of most queues, wouldn't he? It's all about supply and demand.
You know, he came out today, it was in an interview, and he said, people keep writing to me telling me I need to slow down on the coke and not do it. And he said, I don't do anything like that. He said, there's no video evidence. Yes, there is. There's video evidence of him digging in his pocket.
Yeah.
Going like this.
Yeah.
More than a little.
And his behavior in certain interviews, which is totally manic as he ping-pongs off the walls and goes, I don't have a problem. Well, that's why Hunter Biden is so refreshing.
I agree. I am impressed with who he is becoming.
And I like the way he is now going public.
Yeah.
And please God, he never stands for a public office. I'm so sick of these dynasties. No.
Right.
But he has a real role to play as a public speaker.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because he's been an insider all his life.
He has been. Now, speaking of people's families,
Oh.
So this is a bit of good news, which is that the felon had sued the BBC.
Oh, I love this.
And so, but let's back up. Let's back up to talk about the slush fund case. If you recall, with the slush fund case, there was a two-pronged strategy. The first part one, was we are going to sue the IRS. The felon was going to sue the IRS for millions and millions of dollars because his taxes were whatever
leaked.
Yeah. Meanwhile, aren't presidential taxes normally, we know what's in their taxes? Normally we do, but okay, all right. So that was phase one. So he puts that in front of a judge, and then he sees that it doesn't look like it's going to go his way. So then they enact part two of the strategy. Part two of the strategy was to say, oh, sorry, whoops, and take the case off, say we're not suing anymore. And then to compensate himself for the fact that he wasn't going to be able to sue, he was essentially going to write himself that billions-dollar check, the slush fund check that was going to supposedly be given to the January 6th people and everybody else. Okay. Now, what happened was neither phase one nor phase two, both phase one and phase two have been aborted. Why? Because the judge said about the original case, this looks shady. And wait, you just took it off my plate, but you can't take it off my plate. I've had to read all the paperwork. I've had to go through. You're taking the court's time. Come back here with that. Because here's what I want to know. I want your lawyers to come back into court and explain to me how this is not some kind of weird double dealing, cheating thing where you act as both plaintiff and defendant. So so that was great. That was terrific and this is what Todd Blanch has refused to say will not go forward is this slush fund. He'll say it out of his mouth, but he won't put it in writing. All right. So just put that in the back of your mind. Now we have him suing the BBC. Okay. And so the judge said in that case, no problem. It's on my plate. You put it on my table. Here we are. So here's what I want. Every single piece of financial information that exists in life about you. And not just
phone calls. And phone
calls. I want all of that. And I want the same information from your family members and your associates, people like Stephen Miller. Now, I have heard just like nothing. It's just been, I think they're shocked.
Yes, because they're suddenly up against real lawyers.
Yes, right. Against a real wall. Because what's he going to do? Is he going to say to this judge, oh, you know what? Psych. I really don't want to. I'm taking that off the table too. That's not going to work.
Yes, I love it. And in fact, it could result in a huge judgment. Oh, it's inevitable against him.
Against him.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
because of this. And they must be beside themselves on the
I'm
one
sure
hand.
they are totally.
What are we going to do? They're used to not obliging, but this is a different country.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
It's terrific. It's great. So that's a beautiful thing to watch. Another
Yeah.
beautiful thing to watch, I have to say, is the Tate brothers.
Yeah, it's starting. We're starting to see a bit of the wheel turning, are we not? You know.
We absolutely are. So here's the issue with the Tate brothers. They are disgusting, scum of the earth, misogynistic people. And they are good friends of at least Don Jr. and Barron
Yes,
Trump.
totally.
Okay. Now they're in jail waiting to be extradited. Now, of course, I am well aware that they are dual citizens of both the US and the UK. So I got that. But the US federal, I mean, they were arrested, put in jail in the US in Florida. They are in a very not nice jail, and they are fighting extradition. So the felon now has to think, okay, what am I going to do? Because of course, they want the felon to do what he did with them in Romania. Remember, they were in jail in Romania.
No, he bailed them out then.
Bailed them out.
And I think they're so used to it. And there's video footage of Andrew Tate saying, you know, oh, now Trump's back, we're fine, you know, like,
yes,
it's like that. But I'm convinced Trump would have released Ghislaine Maxwell if he had his own way. It's just got a bit too murky. He's probably forgotten her name by now.
Right, I'm sure.
You know, and it's the same with the Tates. He was on a rise before when all that muck was happening with them. And now it would not look good by any definition because they've been charged with 37 crimes that are horrendous, you know, and trafficking and all this. I don't think even Blanch, even everyone, I mean, I could be wrong about this, but the climate is not going to accept that right now at this time.
Well, I did read on this the other day.
What did you get?
On my channel, and the first card I got was the mountain, and I said, oh, this is so typical. He is going to delay any decision as long as he can. The thing is, these extradition cases can go months, sometimes years. So here's the thing. If this was a cleaner thing, you could see him saying, listen, boys, sorry, know you're best friends with Barron and everything, but, you know, needs must. And so I'm going to have to let the UK have you. But there's that other little wrinkle. What dirt do they know about him and his sons?
Yep.
That they could say,
absolutely true.
If you don't do this for us, then we won't do, we'll do whatever. He's really between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah. This is not good news for him.
No, which is great for us. We love that.
Isn't it? It's delicious.
Yeah. I really think that even though we've had these body blows, like the House passing the war appropriations and sneaking the SAVE Act into it.
The big, beautiful bill eventually got over the line.
Yeah. I mean, even though those things have happened, it just seems like there are other things equal and opposite in their power to bring it down.
Yes. You can really feel that beginning to shift. It's not just, anymore, you know, no. And that's why for individuals, it's so important to hold your ground.
Right.
At this time.
Right.
This is not the time to give up, slide sideways, or bury your head in the sand. It really isn't. It's time to be counted. And I think we will see rewards for this. You know?
I do too. So my viewer who wrote me in 3 different places to ask about the, you know, to being concerned about the SAVE Act, et cetera. You know, I know that people come to you and me to get a sense of where the energies are and where they might be leading. We don't traffic in this is going to happen, period, full stop. So get used to it. That's not what we do.
Should be a fluid situation. People have agencies.
That's it.
So for the last 9 years, when people have said to me individually, when is this going to end? And I understand the fear, the frustration, the exhaustion. I truly do. But the answer is when the American people say enough.
Exactly.
When enough American people say enough, it doesn't have to be everybody, but MAGA captured the space. They were only ever 25% at their peak, and yet they took over the whole agenda. They robbed states of education, terrible things about women's bodies, all of that when they were in the minority. So you don't have to be a majority, but you have to be now the vocal ones that this is not acceptable. And that's why people end up progressive, because if you start to look at any issue and you go a bit deeper, you see what's been rotten all along.
Both sides. Yeah, on both sides. Yeah. Exactly. Well, I told you, Lena, before we went on that I had gotten a text or an email, and it was a poll. They were taking a poll. These were Democrats. And the question was, why have the most recent No Kings protests been so poorly attended? I hit the delete button. Now, why did I hit the delete button? Because, I think some of my viewers must think I'm a little crazy to harp on this the way that I do. But I mean, anytime you want something to happen, it's like a kid. I don't know, if you want them to, I don't know, clean their room and then they don't, well, then there's a consequence. And if they still don't, well, then there's a bigger consequence. And eventually the consequence will not be worth it to them and they clean their room. Now, I don't mean to infantilize the situation or any people, but it kind of makes the case. In other words, I have said for months, it was great to have the No Kings protest. It was great on a Saturday from 2 to 5, as long as it was sunny. That's great. That got people out. That got people energized. That got people. And then they did it again. And I thought, okay, well, all right, I guess. All right. It's not how I remember things back in the day, but okay, who am I? And then when finally it happened the third or fourth time, and Black people in particular said, wait, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Because we know we have that epigenetic memory. If we weren't alive back then, some of us were, but if we weren't alive, we have the memory of the stories that we've told of, for example, the Birmingham bus boycott that lasted 2 years. That means through all kinds of weather, people had to walk to and from.
Endurance and sacrifice is sort of foreign to the modern American psyche.
Yes.
In a way. So the Albanians are risking beatings, jail. It's not all flamingos and fluff. They are in a very heavy regime, and they're in the streets every day.
And even the most, progressive people here on this channel will say, well, but it's not convenient, or I'll get docked, or I'll get fired, or they're doing the work for the administration, right? Yeah. So I thought it was really interesting that somebody has noticed that there's been a sort of a decrease in enthusiasm, and it's because what's next? What's the next thing? Ramp it up. How are we going to ramp it up? Yeah. And when there's no ramping up, things fizzle out.
Yes.
That's not helpful.
Yeah. And it's so important, I think, to follow your passion if you're absolutely passionate about this issue or that scenario or whatever, putting your energy into that. And when energy comes together, it's more organic and leads to people naturally wanting to do more, to be with like-minded people and take it that extra step and to put it there and going out when it isn't necessarily comfortable or easy, like.
Right, because if we're too fragile now, what are we going to do when the midterms come? You know good and well. Oh, here's the latest on apparently the FBI is no longer allowed to investigate ICE killings. He just announced that. Now, simultaneously, of course, ICE will be dispersed to polling places.
And so look, this frustrates me, Erica, that the Dems should be on the front foot now going, this man who has caused all this chaos is going to do everything to sabatage this election.
And if you're scared,
he's going to lose ballots. He's going to intimidate people, do everything he can. So they should be coming up with measures, suggestions, targets, aims of how to deal with this situation in a way that's legal and stays within the civic boundaries, but to just keep pressing on. Should the worst happen, should he rig the election to such an extent that he is announced, or the GOP has announced the winner, what are Americans going to do?
Exactly.
Because there should be 5 million Americans a day outside the Supreme Court, outside the White House, and saying, you are not taking our identity, our heritage, and our vote for granted. And that would put a stop to it.
Right. Well, I just saw an interview with Wes.
Got to be ready for everything.
And Wes Moore was saying, freedom is not free. You have to fight to maintain it. And he's absolutely right. So if we're already, clutching our pearls and being, I don't know, terrified, scared, horrified, what are we going to do come November? So I think people need to gird their loins.
Soul searching that needs to be done. And to be ready. So people are ready in significant numbers in each locale, that should the worst come, that whoosh, there's a blitz,
Well, there's this
defeatist won't come to that because states run elections, but he's just sacked everyone in the National Election Commission this week.
Yes, he did. Yes.
By the way, excuse me, democracy. Oh no, that went out the door.
Right.
I mean, I don't think it's the most efficient organisation in the world by any means. However, if you're going to keep a democracy, you have to work for it.
You have to work for it. I mean, it's like back to Kentucky. I had people saying to me, Andy Beshear can't call a special election. Now, that's true. The Kentucky legislature has hamstrung him in a lot of ways, right? But why wouldn't he do it anyway? I would do it anyway.
You do it anyway, or even if it doesn't come to that, the first step, Andy, is to find out about the man's condition, which is where we started this conversation. And if it's too far for him to go, you send a high-level delegate. I'm delegating my deputy to go to this because the people of Kentucky deserve representation, and he's going tomorrow afternoon, and we'll let you know what he finds.
Right.
It's
and
not
if
that hard.
Right. That's step one. If that doesn't work, call a special election. Now, what will happen? What will happen is he'll get taken to court. Good. Go to court. Because as the felon has learned, when you go to court, there's a thing called discovery.
Yes.
So whoever's bringing him to court will have to produce the corpse.
Yes. Or not, or whatever.
If
it moves the whole thing out of his hands, really. But he has to make those steps. You are the governor, and governors in the US have enormous power. More so than provincial leaders in other places. They have huge power.
Well, if he
So
wants a
very
national
basic.
profile, that's what he should do.
Is he dead or alive is a fairly fundamental question.
So if somebody's asking, is Mitch in D.C. or Kentucky? He's in D.C.
Ah.
I don't know if he's above the ground or under the ground, but he's in D.C. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if he was in Alaska or Siberia. Send
Exactly.
someone to talk to the man. Yeah, right.
Exactly. Okay.
And sorry, while I'm on a roll, and
Yeah,
a medical thing signed by 2 doctors minimum saying he won't be returning to work, or Mr. McConnell is looking marvelous and he'll be back next week. Whatever. Just tell people.
He's being watched, and he is a representative of the Democratic Party. Then they wonder why people are so enamored of the Social Democrats. Well, I mean, at least they're doing something, right? Okay, I'm
every
looking
day.
through.
And they're doing the unpopular things that work out being really popular. So this is the conundrum for the centrist Dems. Things that are unpopular with corporate Dems are the things that are winning in real life.
Right.
Michelle, ongoing discussion. Yeah.
Michelle M., I'm curious to know who the 6 Democrats were. I'm sure Fetterman was one of them.
Oh, I'm sure Fetterman voted twice.
Well, Fetterman, isn't Fetterman is he a representative or a senator?
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know, but it's very easy to look up, Michelle. Who were the 6 Democrats who voted in the House to pass this?
Yeah, let us know.
I mean, that's easy to do. That's not hard at all. Hello from San Diego County. We have 2 fires burning. Yes, I live in San Diego, and we do have fires here. Yes. Global warming. We need
Fetterman's a senator, right? Okay.
He's a senator, so that's the point, is that it has not gotten to the Senate yet. So, of course, Fetterman would not have been one of the 6 because Fetterman is a senator, not a representative.
There are 6 other illustrious beings.
Yes, exactly. I'm just looking to see. I don't want to miss anybody.
I think what let's call them the young guard coming through, the AOCs, the Mamdanis and so forth, they are changing the game an inch at a time and then suddenly having impact. And it's the boy who cried wolf, because all the Dems were always described as radical left and socialist, all this rubbish. In the meantime, they're just owning it.
Right.
And going forward.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, on a totally different subject, which is pretty awful. So hopefully we'll end on a more positive note than the thing I'm going to talk about. So we had the death of Nolan Wells. We don't know what happened to him, but we know it is not whatever the script is. And the family had the body flown from Mississippi to DC for an autopsy because they didn't trust the medical examiner, because this is the same medical examiner that insists that all these Black people hanging from trees committed suicide with their hands tied behind their back. But anyway, but listen to this. The autopsy report, preliminary from DC, came back. First bit of news is it's still inconclusive. They have to, sometimes these things take weeks and months, but they were missing something that they couldn't test. Can you guess what it was?
No.
His neck. How is somebody's neck missing? The only way first of all, in an autopsy, it is not common practice to chop a person's head off. They do that, the incision here.
Yeah, the Y
thing. Okay, that has nothing to do with your head coming off of your neck. Why is the neck missing? There was bruising in the back of the skull. because they had the head,
Mm.
but no neck.
That's bizarre. We know who would
We
have
know, yeah.
played with it, but
Yes.
it's bizarre.
It's horrifying. I mean, that's like saying, that's like a kid with chocolate all over their face, and you say, "Did you just eat chocolate?" No. When it's all over your face.
Yes. And look, it's that going to a different place for the autopsy too. A quick Queensland story, because I'm from a redneck state.
Mm-hmm.
And the police in Sydney or Melbourne, excuse me, operate in a particular way, but when it's in these far-flung places, they are a force to themselves. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Aboriginal community, this guy went and shouted at the police and this and that. A group of police took him, they kicked him to death on the steps of the courthouse in broad daylight. Okay, for doing that right there. And people said to me, "Oh, they've been done, Lena. Look at this." Finally they've been caught in the act. So
broad daylight, yeah.
I said, "No, they haven't. No, they haven't. You watch, it'll be a death by misadventure." And sure enough, the local guy, I can't work out, bad luck, really, hit his head a dozen times. Yeah, anyway. They got a second, he went on holiday and they got a second coroner, a real coroner from another state, who said, "I have never seen these injuries outside of a high-impact vehicle accident." Right? And went for it. And people said, "Oh, now it's really okay, Lena. It'll be fine." I said, "Oh, no." They, of course, flew back. That was ruled inadmissible. And the main cop who did the main damage was given a bravery award. And the victim's sister was put in jail for 4 years custodial sentence because she threw a rock at the police car.
See?
I'm just saying.
I know. Well,
I get it. These are horrifying things that are made routine.
Routine, yes, routine, systematic.
It's not seen as this huge thing.
Yeah. Well, and then
plus, the neck looks bad. We won't send the neck.
No, right? They didn't. They let yes, because the neck would incriminate.
Exactly. So, did they think he wouldn't notice?
Yeah, but the neck was missing. Come on. And then I wrote my Substack yesterday, and I started to write one thing, and then something came over my phone, and I saw that, and I ended up changing course. There was a woman on Threads who was angry and accusatory that there was a GoFundMe set up for the family. Now, I mean, I don't know how white people do it, but in Black situations, when there's a funeral, it's traditional that you pass a plate. You know what I mean? That you put money.
Yeah.
For nobody asked this woman for any money. Nobody was shaking her upside down. So why would she come and attack a community for supporting? It's very interesting, and yet would probably be the first one to donate to Dylan Roof or one of those, defense funds. So it's systematic. It's terrible. The South is, I'm going to say, worse than the North. I mean, it's different, but it's worse because it's more in your face. But the neck was missing.
That is staggering in the modern world, even for America, even for the South, even, it's just so crude.
Crude. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
so we have a long way to go.
Massive way to go. And we have to do something optimistic for our last couple of minutes here.
So you said you had some suggestions for people.
Yes. So I think, and I'm interested too in how you guys cope. But I think what we forget that there's no time to go into the psychology of this, but it's almost like survivor guilt or something that people have been in my real world say, I feel so bad to have a good time or go on a trip or do something. There's a guilt attached to experiencing any joy when things are so turgid and so oppressive and so dangerous. And so we have to work out ways. Tim Walsh said it with that phrase, don't let them take your joy.
I was going to say joy is an act of rebellion.
Yes, thank you. That's actually it. So my advice is dance till you drop if you're mobile. And in other ways, make sure you file into your week. Daily is good, but at least once or twice a week, something that brings you deep joy, maybe something you've neglected for a long time. And I went to a little gig in my local area, and I love Melbourne because you get intergenerational audiences for everything. And they said with this band, we've got people here who are picking up an instrument for the first time. We've got people here who have played for 60 years, and we've got people who put down their instrument for 30 years and have picked it back up.
Wow.
And I loved it for that.
That's great. No, joy is absolutely an act of rebellion.
Because it's important for your physiology and for your mental health and everything else. So don't let them take that away.
Right. Couldn't agree more. Well, next week, I'm celebrating because it's my birthday when we meet next Wednesday, the big one. And you know what that big one is.
Oh, God, good luck.
The big one. So I'm happy to have you all at my birthday party.
We will have a party for you.
So, thank you all for coming, for being here, for putting your questions in the comment section and talking to each other. We appreciate it. And we appreciate, of course, all the people who watch in replay. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes. This will be on both our channels, so you can, pick your favorite and watch there. And we'll be back again next week when I am a whole year older.
Right. So take care, everyone, and good luck with your week, Erica. Milk it.
Yeah, my last week. All right, you all. See you next time. Take care.